Hey everybody, this is Grace, and I'm sitting out here outside this time at 6:24 p.m. June 29th, 2025. I was going to come out here anyway and make videos, and well, then actually I fell asleep, but I woke up, went into the other room. Sure enough, there was a strong smell coming out of the laundry room. And it was that Adam decided to wash a rug with Clark's bleach. If anybody's ever watched my videos, they know I've said a gazillion times I have allergies. Big time allergies, chemical allergies, fragrance allergies, just all around. The worst thing for me is bleach. And I also have seasonal allergies, just unbelievable. And he had bought this. We don't have bleach. I don't buy bleach. He doesn't buy bleach. But about sometime within the last, I don't know, this month maybe, I don't know, he got some or something happened. I don't remember what happened. Well, he said, because, you know, there's so much going on with my health and that dog and then the whole craziness. And my own self having, you know, the medications and having to get over all this stuff. Unbelievable amount of stuff going on. So I really don't remember. I'm so tired all the time because there's so much. And anyway, bleach. Now what got his niece kicked out of our home? Okay, kicked out of the country, really. You know, earlier this year, she's 31. And the whole thing I've mentioned about him, his sister, her mother, him, you know, his family, how bad they are on certain things. But you know what? Now, you know, my degrees are in psychology and sociology, and I was a career student over 20 years, and that's important when I say that I don't diagnose. Of course I don't diagnose. I'm not their counselor or anything like that, and I'm not arrogant enough to think that I should, but I mean, I do know all these symptoms. I mean, I just can't take it out of my head. And I have known him for 45 years, you know, close to 45 years, and you know, all this time, all the classes I took, I was a career student over 20 years. Of course, there were some things, you know, it's probably in the title, so I don't need to kind of, you know, I don't usually try to stretch it out. But, yeah, you know, I remember going to a seminar or something, and then there was some guest speaker or something, and it was about this topic, about ADHD versus something else. I don't remember what the something else was. This is decades ago. And with all that I've done in my life, my goodness. But anyway, that's what I've kind of always suspected with him. And now I can see it. Maybe because I looked up a certain way, the AI, I Googled it to see what the AI would say about certain things associated with it. And it basically said, yep, sure could be. So the AI diagnosed it, right? But, yeah, I have often wondered, is it some kind of form of ADHD? Seriously. I mean, it would be easy just to say that I don't care, or, you know, I've done that. I've taken that route. I've said that I've actually called them psychopaths and sociopaths because, wow, who sprays a bottle of perfume and stuff like that, knowing that the person that could literally kill somebody? But ADHD might explain it too. I don't know. That one, the niece, she was just, I don't know what to say about her. It's not like they're not people to do alcohol, drugs in their country. These would be a death sentence. So no, they don't do stuff like that. And so it's not that kind of thing. But it's more like they're just not there. that it's like a cognitive impairment. I really looked that up. Well, I didn't look at cognitive imperative, but when I looked up ADHD, it's talking about this, and I can see it. I mean, I've already seen it. I've known him all these years, and that is what I suspected. Okay, I've suspected it many times, and over 45 years, yeah. And I'm saying this because I can still go back and say they're a bunch of sociopaths and psychopaths. Oh, because seriously, when you have chemical allergies and somebody does something, you know, like what it is, Adam decided to wash a rug with Clorox bleach. The whole house right now, it's a 2-story house. The house smells as bleach. Okay. And you say, well, we just go to a hotel. You know, he didn't say it nicely. He said it smartly. You know, they also have a problem admitting they're wrong. And they're perfect, you remember. You know, like I said, I can go take it down that dark road. But they just don't care. That's simple. It really is simple. Okay, I could say that. I could say something like what I have done in the past, something nefarious. And I'm a little bit irritated right now with allergies, seriously. I need to get in and take myself some allergy meds, but I did have to. I came out here and then had to go back in while I'm on this topic, this part of it. When I went back in, I could smell much more. Smell of bleach in the house. I was in the front, and it's on the other side, the laundry room. So anyway, yeah, dealing with this. But I could say it's the you know, I could say so many different things, and that makes it easy. They really do make it easy. Just say they're a bunch of narcissists. I could just say that. That's so easy. They really have a collective narcissism. They believe that everybody in their family, they're all perfect. And they do act like this. They have the best family. They're all smart. They all, you know, they're all know-it-alls, literally. They believe that they all know everything. Even when they don't. You know, I can't tell you. You know, in the fields I studied, got my degrees in psychology and sociology, they teach you, like in 101, the first class, that everybody, you know, the way it's put is jokingly, because everybody, you don't want to say that, let's just say a lot of people think they're psychologists. A lot of people think they're sociologists. You know, they think that they know everything about these topics. Well, a lot of people do. It's true. You know, I cannot tell you how many times people, you know, I can say that I have degrees, and then people know, you know, like his family, he and his family, and they still think that they know more. And it's just, you know, it's not amazing, because that's part of certain disorders even. But not everything is a disorder. And that's something this backed up too with the ADHD. Not everything is a disorder. Not everything. When somebody does something that's, you know, rather stupid, honestly. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a disorder. But this, you know, this with ADHD, I kind of think maybe it is, because it's, you know, it explained it in a way I haven't heard explained exactly that way before. Not that I remember, but I didn't focus on ADHD, and yeah, it wasn't like, yeah, it just wasn't. But it's basically that it's hard. It was difficult for people with ADHD, some people, to basically hold it all together. Remember like with somebody's allergies. They're not doing it intentionally. It's just that it's just not in the forefront. And the way I was going to describe it when I came out here is, before I even read that, is it's very weird. It's a very weird experience, something to experience and watch when, you know, person, you know, people, and like I said, you just told them something, like his niece The first time I just told her, don't spray anything, that's in the can, chemicals, because I have these chemical allergies that could kill me. She walked right upstairs and sprayed a can of Raid, because I don't know which way it was, that time or the next time, a whole can or a lot of it, because she's okay. I don't know if you heard that, but my voice went out, and here it is. I'm about to do it again. Oh boy, yeah, this is not good, and I really don't want to go stay in a hotel. Just the whole thought of staying, because they have all their chemicals, what they wash stuff with, what they clean stuff with, is just about as bad. Really, it is. I don't want to say just about, it is as bad. What they wash stuff with, what they, like I said, wash stuff, clean stuff with, the floors, all of it. It's just too much for me. So, but anyway, I mean, the feeling, what I feel when I see some of the things that happen, that just various people in his family, is, some, like I say, it kind of does not feel like, like they're narcissists. It's just that they cannot, like it had basically kind of described, it's difficult for them to have it, or at least how I read it, have it all bounce in their head right. Some of them, not all of them, going to do the same thing, but to sit there and say, oh well, I want to do this, I want to wash this bath mat with some bleach, and so I just go do it. But oh, wait a minute, no, she's allergic to bleach. I better not do that, because that would make her could possibly kill her even. To do something like that, or to, well, wait a minute, she just told me downstairs not to spray this stuff, so why am I spraying this? It was Raid and Lysol. These kind of connections don't happen. And I've kind of, when I was feeling a little more generous, yeah, I thought about, okay, these connections, what's happening? Why is there like and I'm not saying every person with ADHD, okay, make sure you know this, but this is what I've seen. If that would be it, which I don't diagnose, so hey, it's making it difficult. But it's like, sometimes they're hollow. They're just, they're just being the shell, because their minds really aren't there. It's like a selective hearing, selective listening, both, and like if somebody's standing in front of you and they don't have a hearing problem and you're speaking, they have to be hearing the words at least, but they somehow tune those out. Just tune them out, because they're busy thinking something else. That kind of feeling would often hit me around them, like maybe they're really not evil, it's just that they aren't there. Okay, they're not totally there when they're there. And I know I used to say that myself about people, who seem to be a bit narcissistic. Well, here we go, all these years later. Yeah, but I could see it, but like I said, that's when I'm being generous with somebody, with how I see their behaviors. Because otherwise, it just seems like, and a lot of things I know is, a person who wants, is upset at somebody, that they might not want to be generous like that. And in a way, it's they can blow off their own steam by saying, oh, they're just so narcissistic, or, they're such psychopaths and sociopaths. When really, it's like I've said so many times, they really might not even be thinking about you at all. And that doesn't mean they don't care. It's just the way they're wrapped up in this, like I'm saying, with this possible ADHD, or what I've seen with people who, how can you not hear that? How could you not listen? How could you be that just bold, brazen, whatever, just go upstairs and spray. When I just told you, don't do that. This is my home, and you're doing that. And that happened the third time. Oh man, she got kicked out. She'll never be returning to this country, but that was because of her behaviors. I'm certain that they would say no. There's no reason for her to. You know, I don't know how that works, so just don't believe me. I really don't know how it works. But all this stuff that, no. But she's not wanted. She's not. And then she'd cry, you know, to where she got kicked out. She got kicked out to another one of his brothers who can't stand her either. None of his family can stand her, except of course her mother. The only thing for me is I feel sorry for her because she was raised by her mother. Well, her mother and her father, but her father was often gone on business. He worked in a different country, even. So, being raised by that woman, oh man, she's an awful, awful woman. His mother, you know, her mother, Adam's sister, awful woman. So, anyway. Okay, it's a little later. It's 7:02 p.m. I just had gone in the house, took a Benadryl, and Benadryl works for me. I'm not saying that it would for anybody else, but it does for me. And usually does something at least. I went to the restroom because, you know, I take 3 water pills a day. So, oh my goodness, you know, all these health problems with the swelling and all that, the heart failure. Yeah, I really need all this kind of stuff going on, right? It's just lather, rinse, repeat, I'm telling you. By the way, I looked it up again, and of course they have part that says about narcissism, lack of empathy, and high sense of entitlement could be a cause to why somebody would spray, you know, chemicals, knowing that there's somebody has chemical allergies. And then they also had a part which, you know, like I said, I've suspected. It's more like, I mean, imagine, you know, she's, you know, his niece, when she was 28, 29, I don't know, and she's standing there and I'm telling her, and like I said, it happened twice that I had to tell her like this. And there was a third time he basically had to tell her, you know, what's your problem, girl? You know? But, you know, so I'm standing there, whichever time. You know, my life is not really about all of them. So, but I'm telling, you know, I'm standing there telling her, don't spray any chemicals, you know, it could kill me and all that. And her brain, this is what I feel. Her brain is going, oh, I need to go up there and spray you know, this Raid stuff to make sure that no bugs come in. Because we were told that she, you know, has OCD. And that she carries around with her Clorox bleach. And apparently this kind of spray, Raid and Lysol. And so that's what her brain was thinking. I need to go upstairs and spray those. And that way I can guarantee that there's no bugs going to come in. And, you know, to put some Lysol and make sure I get everything, you know, what is that? You know what Lysol does. Disinfected. It's a disinfectant. And her brain's thinking that. Her brain's not listening. You know, she's just thinking what she needs to do. Because, seriously, the whole thought of I'm standing there telling somebody something and Adam's sitting in the same room listening and they can't hear those words. It's just so bizarre to even think that the person can't hear I'm saying, don't do that or you could kill me. And they do it. It's really difficult to get in my head that a person could actually be that bad. I mean, because, you know, even the situation itself with her uncle sitting right there. And this happened total 3 times. The last time it wasn't spraying something. It was that she put it on her, some perfume, because she was leaving the next day. And she told Adam that she wanted to see if it was the perfume she wanted to take back with her. So she dabbed it on her arm, her hand, her wrist or wherever, to see what it smelled like and to make a decision. Well, that was not a dab. Dabs don't do that. They don't make the whole house smell. They don't make me gag. She was lying. Plain and simple. It's kind of like Adam just said that he just put a little bit of bleach in. No, you didn't. That's not a little bit of bleach. What is it with the family? I'm telling you. Seriously, telling you. And that's not all, because when something like that happens, when he did it, like he did this, he gets angry. Like he's supposed to be the one angry. That's what his niece does. That's what his family does. We all know how that goes. People who do that, they do something wrong and then they try to get angry so they can put themselves back in a spot where they think they're supposed to be superior, and that they're the ones who are angry and they're going to be. No, I don't play that. Nope, you're wrong. You did something wrong. Period. But so I told him. I said, I'm in another room. Okay, and I'm about to come out here. And I said, why don't you open up the back door? The back door is right where he is sitting. And I said, open up the back door. There's a window on it, and open that so we can get some fresh air in here. And I'm going outside in the front because of this problem with the house smelling. He opened it up. I came out here. I was just here not too long. Went back in there just now. When I went back in there, and it was already shut, the door. See, what I'm saying is, I don't think that they think long enough. Really, I don't think things stay in their heads. This is, this was him doing it, but I have seen so much of this with his family. Not everybody, but that it just doesn't stay in their heads long enough. And earlier I was thinking, I really have to, I don't want to be this type of person that I would have to speak to him in this kind of manner, because it's just ridiculous. And it's not me. It's not my type of person. I'm not this type of person. But I really felt like saying, what part of chemical allergies do you not understand? Because I've said stuff like that to him, actually have. What part of this do you not understand? Because, just like this one, like I said, it's not really my behavior, my way of being, but it's becoming this. Because what part of this do you not understand? Really? How many times does a person have to tell you the same thing repeatedly before you hear it, before you've listened, before it's got into your brain? And you'll know you can't do that, or it could be something like something that's going to only benefit him. So-and-so called or whatever. Repeatedly. And yeah, I'm well aware there's also dementia. I worked with people who were, in memory care, so I understand all that too. So I'm not going there. That's not where I'm thinking. But then there's other cognitive impairments. It could be any of this. But just being around someone who doesn't, and I'm not talking, I'm talking, like I said, about dementia or anything like that. I'm not going down that road thinking that, because this has been always. When he was young, and his niece is 31. I met her, she was 27, about to turn 28. So, you see what I'm saying? And it's like, come on. That's extremely frustrating when you're just now telling them, don't do something like that because you could have hurt somebody. You could hurt me. You could hurt somebody. You could hurt yourself. You could, you know, or do this for yourself. Or somebody called you, hear this, whatever the case is. How many times am I going to have to tell you? You know? And I definitely don't want to be in a position where I would have to tell somebody repeatedly, because that kind of takes, you know, puts a person, the whole equality out of balance, really. And when somebody has to be stern with the other person, when somebody has to be the one to tell them you could hurt somebody, when somebody has to be like the parent to a child. And I dealt with that whenever my mother had dementia. I had to, and I would take care of her. Me and one other sister would trade off at sometimes. And being the parent to your parent was, let me tell you, that was rough. Very rough. But I did it. And maybe not as much with me, because I did deal with people that had dementia. But like I said, this has been since he's young. You know, he and his family members since they were young. So, I don't know. But now I'm wondering, what am I going to do? Okay, just like that night that she was here, last night before she left, and like I've said since then, that this woman almost killed me. I truly, he says it now. He says, you know, having to deal with her, he sees that was something that was causing me a lot of health problems. He said he noticed that any time that I had these serious health problems, it was when she was around. And it was, you know, when she was around us. And she that's not the only thing about her, you know, she was also psychotic. She was on antipsychotics, supposed to be, and then we think that she stopped taking them, and because she ran out. You know, after you get kicked out of this, get kicked out of that, get kicked out of that, get kicked out of that. You see what I'm saying? And then maybe there's something going on more than that. But I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I mean, if that smell, like I said, I don't buy bleach. So I have, you know, I said, because I can't touch it. I said, you know, go and wash it again, but this time no bleach, and just wash it again with just the soap. You know, my soap has no fragrance. It's fragrance that never comes out right with me. Never, hardly ever. I don't think it ever does. Fragrance free and chemical free. Laundry detergent, dishwashing detergent. Yeah. So that's all I was Clorox bleach in my laundry room and in the washer, and then it's going to put it in the dryer, and then yeah, it all smells up. And my life, I'm telling you, this is why I just, you know, there's so many things that you have no control over, but why does it always be me who has to deal with it? Somebody else's problem. Seriously. Don't spray chemical. Don't spray any chemicals upstairs. Spray. Oh my gosh, man. And that was, like I said, 3 times total with the fragrance. 3. And then his wacko totally, one of the most despicable people on the planet is his sister. Oh my gosh. And then his whole family, the whole thing of them moving stuff around in the house, you know, and some people say, well, you must be really weak. You know, they blame the victim. You must be really weak if you allow that some people don't understand. You're not allowing anybody to do anything. You know, telling them just doesn't mean anything. Okay? I have gone no contact with all of his family members. I don't want to have anything to do with any of them. Okay? With any of them. My own family either, but they're not that crazy. No, seriously. My family, I have said it before, they are just like innocent little angels in comparison to his family. Really. And I want no contact with my family, so. But they have their problems, but oof, that stuff, that's crazy what his family does. And like I said, they could actually be ill intent all around. It could be something, they're just like that. That's just how they are. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I'll talk to you on another video.